So today we'll be continuing the story from last time, from the tales of King Arthur. If you remember, last time Arthur, without knowing, had pulled the sword from the stone, and he went to take it to Kay, his brother, to participate in the tournament with it. So let's see what happened. When he arrived, he weaved through the crowds until he found Kay and presented him with the sword. "That's not mine," Kay said, and then his eyes widened as he recognized the sword. He had watched several knights try to pull it from the stone that very morning, while Arthur had been busy arranging lodgings. Kay seized the sword and rushed to find Sir Ector. "Father, look," he said excitedly. "What is it?" said Sir Ector. "I have the sword from the stone, father. That must mean that I am the rightful king of all Britain." "Did you pull it out yourself?" Sir Ector asked, looking hard at his son. "Yes," Kay replied. "You swear that is the truth?" Ector asked. Arthur brought it to me," Kay confessed, his cheeks burning with shame. So Sir Ector called Arthur to him and made him explain exactly what had happened. When he heard Arthur's tale, he took Kay and Arthur straight to the churchyard. There he thrust the sword back into the stone. He and Sir Kay tried to pull it out, but it was stuck fast, as if it had been lodged there for 1,000 years. "Try it again," Sir Ector ordered Arthur. Arthur took hold of the hilt, and the blade slid out easily. Sir Ector bowed his head and knelt down before Arthur in the snow. Sir Kay gaped at Arthur and then hurriedly did the same. What are you doing?" asked Arthur. "I love you as if you were my own son," Sir Ector said gently. "But it's time to tell you, Arthur, you are not of my blood. One night, when you were a baby, the wizard Merlin brought you to my house in secret. He made me promise to keep you safe and raise you as my own child. I have done so gladly." "So you are not my father?" Arthur said, struggling to hold back his tears. "Arthur," Sir Ector said quietly, "whoever draws this sword is the rightful king of all Britain. Your destiny lies beyond our family." Arthur's head was spinning. "If I am to be king, I hope I never fail you," he managed to say. "Sir Kay and I swear loyalty to you, our king, for all our days," said Sir Ector. Sir Ector went straight to the Archbishop and told him all that had happened. The Archbishop made an official announcement to all the knights and noblemen who had come to the tournament. The news was greeted with roars of laughter. Nobody believed that a boy who was not yet even a knight could possibly be the true king. They would not even let him try to prove it. "If nobody else has been found, your boy can come back at Pentecost and try again," the Archbishop told Sir Ector. The sword was thrust back into the stone, and word was sent out for more barons, lords, knights, and kings to try their hand before Pentecost. Many tried, but not one of them could prise the sword from the stone. At the Feast of Pentecost, a huge crowd was watching when Arthur walked up to the sword once more and put his hand on its hilt. From the shadows, Merlin was watching too. In front of everyone, Arthur drew the sword from the stone and lifted the shining blade into the air. There was a hush before people in the crowd started shouting, "The sword has spoken! Arthur, Arthur, Arthur is our king!" Soon the whole crowd was chanting with one voice, and suddenly they all kneeled before Arthur. Then Arthur kneeled, and the Archbishop took the sword and knighted him. That same day, Arthur was crowned in the cathedral. He looked out across the sea of expectant faces and felt his courage grow strong within him. "I vow to bring justice and peace to this land. I will drive out invaders and right the wrongs of my people, he declared. So do you think Arthur, that little boy, could really be the great king that he thinks that he could be? Let's continue reading and find out.